Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining this side event co-organized by IEEJ, Keidanren, and GISPRI. My name is Nobuya Maika of GISPRI, and I will be an MC throughout this event. We would like to start the seminar titled The Significance of Transition to Achieve Net Zero. First, Mr. Funakoshi Hirofumi, Chair, Subcommittee on Global Environment, Committee on Environment, Keidanren, make opening remarks on behalf of our organizers. Mr. Funakoshi, please.
Good afternoon, Minister Sao, distinguished speakers, and all participants. My name is Hirofumi Funakoshi, Chair of the Subcommittee on Global Environment at Keidanren. I'm honored to welcome you all on behalf of the event organizers. Keidanren, the Japan Business Federation, is a comprehensive economic organization with a membership comprised of over 1,600 companies and industrial associates in Japan. We bring together the business community to build consensus on various issues such as environment, energy supply, and labor, and then advocate solutions to the Japanese government. And globally, we work to make relationship with other countries and relations strong through policy dialogue with government and business organizations around the world. Today's theme, the significance of transition to achieve net zero. To achieve global net zero, we all need to transform industrial and social structures from fossil fuel-based to clean energy-oriented. In Japan, this transformation is defined as green transformation, or GX for short, which is being promoted through public-private collaboration. At Keidanren, we see transition phase as crucial to achieve net zero. Some countries that are extremely hasty to achieve net zero reject technologies and products contributing to transition, such as fuel switching and ammonia mixed combustion. However, we believe that it is important for each country to promote emission reduction steadily in ways and time frames appropriate for the country while taking full account of its own circumstances. These include industrial and energy supply structure and geographical conditions. This is the realistic and effective way to achieve net zero. Keidanren is actively engaging in various initiatives. For instance, since 2020, our Challenge Zero initiative has been collecting ambitious effort by a company to achieve net zero. In recent years, we have seen the increase of example focusing on transition such as the development and implementation of technologies related to hydrogen and ammonia production, transportation, and utilization. Furthermore, Keidanren strongly supports the Asia Zero Emission Community Initiative. AZEC is a collaborative effort by Japan, Australia, and 9 ASEAN countries that aim to achieve the net zero through multiple and realistic pathways. Keidanren's policy proposal for advancing the AZEC initiative express high expectations for the initiative. It also emphasizes the importance of measures such as establishing market where green products, which are often relatively more expensive than existing ones, are selected, as well as expanding transition finance. Keidanren will continue to cooperate to further make the IEEJ initiative concrete. Today, we will hear a presentation by experts on technology, finance, and institutions that play key roles in smooth transition, as well as discussion on practical steps to get there. I deeply hope that this event will be an opportunity for all attendants to acknowledge the importance of transition. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Funakoshi. So next, I'd like to also Mr. Asao Keiichiro, Minister of the Environment of Japan, to make a guest speech. Mr. Asao, please.
Good afternoon, distinguished speakers and ladies and gentlemen. My name is Keiichiro Asao, Ministry of Environment. I'm honored to provide opening remarks at this meaningful seminar by Keidanren, or the Business Federation of Japan, Japan Business Federation. In order to achieve net zero on a global scale, all countries need to promote GX, or green transformation, as Mr. Funakoshi just has mentioned. To transform current industries and societies from fossil fuel dependency to clean energy-focused business is very important, especially in the glowing global south. And that is why we have initiated so-called AZEC, which is Asia Zero Emission Community Leaders Meeting, that again, Mr. Funakoshi has just mentioned. This AZEC was adopted as the action plan for the next decade at the ASEAN Summit last month, aiming at achieving net zero through various pathways reflecting each country's situations. And the mechanism is through joint crediting mechanism, or JCM, which is called. That is, if you look at the world today, global south and developing countries have to have a bridge between the two zones. In other words, in Japan, we have technology which could be utilized in reducing greenhouse gas, particularly in carbon dioxide. And also with funding and technologies, Japan is committed to support this JCM mechanism. And this is very important. And also at this COP29, to enhance JCM mechanism, we are discussing Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. And so that should be adopted, and I hope this would enhance the JCM mechanism. Referring to this adopted action plan, and together with representatives of the private sector here today, the Japanese government will be in full swing, like Shohei Ohtani, or Ohtani Shohei, whatever, of the Los Angeles Dodgers, to realize the planet-wide net zero, starting with the Asian regions. Again, if we can utilize all of the possible technologies, the business sector could be the real Shohei Ohtani and achieve net zero. I am convinced that the outstanding decarbonizing technologies and products, which the panelists probably will provide today, will be applied in a lot of the ASEC countries and other countries as well, and so that the technologies that we have will be utilized in the total goal of net zero achieving. And with that, I would like to have enjoy the seminar today, and I would like to again welcome all of you attending this seminar. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sao. So we are honored to have 5 distinguished speakers from various sectors, and we would like to ask them to make a presentation. Okay, first, we'd like to ask Mr. Taji Takahiro, Deputy Director, General for GX Policy Group, Ministry of the Economy, Trade, and Industry of Japan. Mr. Taji, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Takahiro Taji from METI. First of all, I thank to Nakoshi-san and everyone at Keidanren and other organizations for inviting me to this seminar today. I'd like to express my gratitude to giving me the opportunities to introduce our GX policy of the Japanese government. Now I'd like to start my presentation. Next slide, please. Okay, and these are 3 principles of our Japan's GX. First, the triple breakthrough, which means achieving decarbonization, economic growth, and stable energy supply simultaneously. Second, one goal, various pathways, which means recognizing that to achieve net zero should be diverse, considering the economic and energy circumstances of each country. Third, solution to the world, which means not only reducing Japan's own emission, but also contributing to global decarbonization by providing solutions of Japanese technology. Next slide, please. Japanese government are taking GX policy measures under the concept of the pro-growth carbon pricing. In short, this is a carrot and stick framework. That means it supports private companies to make current investments toward GX as a carrot, assuming the introduction of carbon pricing in the future as a stick. Specifically, Japanese government has issued Japan Climate Transition Bonds, which is the first sovereign transition bonds, and we provide upfront investment support of 20 trillion yen, about $130 billion over 10 years. On the other hand, we will gradually introduce a carbon pricing system, which consists of emission trading system from 2026 fiscal year and GX surcharge on fossil fuel supply, like a carbon tax from 2028 fiscal year. The point is the time lag between the carrot and stick. This is the incentive for companies. That is, the sooner they start investing in decarbonization, the smaller the future burden will be. Next slide, please. Investment promotion measures are being implemented as below by utilizing funds from Japanese Climate Transition Bond and in accordance with the sector-specific investment strategy complied last year. For example, in the innovative technology area, we already have Green Innovation Fund of 2.8 trillion yen, which is supporting new technology such as perovskite solar cells, hydrogen-reduced steel in blast furnace, ammonia single-fuel gas turbine, etc. Also, in the hard-to-abate industry area, such as steel and chemicals, we are providing support for capital investment by private companies, such as innovative electric furnace, chemical recycling, CCUS, etc. Next, please. I would like to introduce our GX ETS. Since 2023, Japan has introduced a trial emission trading system. It is a voluntary program under the GX League, which consists of over 700 member companies that accounts for about 55% of Japan's emissions. While monitoring the progress of this trial scheme, we are considering the full-scale introduction of emission trading system. Japanese government has been working out the details of the full-scale emission trading system based on the discussion of the study group of experts. And we will submit a bill to amend the GX Promotion Act to the diet next year. Next, please. Next, I would like to introduce the international cooperation scheme of the decarbonization in Asia, so-called AIEJEC. But Minister Asa already introduced. I would like to just a brief concept of the scheme of the community. Many ASEAN countries heavily dependent on a coal-fired power plant and natural gas power plant generation. In addition, both ASEAN countries and Japan have manufacturing-centered industry structure that make it difficult to reduce emissions. So we recognize the cooperation through Japanese technology, finance, and experiences is important to steadily promote decarbonization in Asia countries. Based on this recognition, Japan proposed the concept of the Asian Zero Emission Community in 2022, and the second AIEJEC summit was held in Laos on October this year under the chair of Prime Minister Ishiba. Next, please. Finally, I'd like to introduce our GX 2040 vision, which we are considering as the next step of our GX policy. Now we are seeing increasing uncertainty and changes in the domestic and international environment, such as the progress of inflation, the expected increases of electricity demand, and the supply chain and reconstruction due to the economic security. Considering this situation, we have decided to formulate the DX 2040 vision, and we plan to formulate this vision by the end of this year. And we hope this vision will contribute to increasing the predictability of the business environment and further supporting domestic investment. This is the overall picture of Japan's DX policy. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tajiri. Next speaker, next speaker is Mr. Emmanuel Kakaras, Executive Vice President, Next Energy Business, Mitsubishi Heavy Industries EMEA Limited, to make a presentation. Mr. Kakaras, please.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests. Thank you very much for inviting me to attend this seminar and to present what MHI is developing as enabling technology to reach carbon neutrality. My name is Manuel Kakaras, and since April last year, I'm in charge of GX solutions for Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, following the announcements that our company has made, and they created a GX division since April last year. Next slide, please. You know that in MHI, we fully respect the energy trilemma that the previous speaker already highlighted. So we are aiming to deal with the security of supply, the competitiveness, and the environmental protection of the energy system. And to realize that has been already publicly announced that MHI will become carbon neutral by 2040, including the Scope 1, Scope 2, and Scope 3 emissions. In simple words, we are going also not only doing our housekeeping, but we are going to deliver enabling technology so that our customers achieve carbon neutrality. And to do that, we base that in 3 pillars, which is the 3 pillars of our development strategy, namely the reduction of carbon footprint on the existing assets, the hydrogen ecosystem, and the CO2 ecosystem. Next slide, please. In this very pavilion, my colleagues from MHI have the same graph over there, in case you don't want to see it from there. It's our strategy towards carbon reduction of existing assets, which in fact is achieved by a multitude of alternatives, starting from switching from coal to gas and introducing gas combined cycle. That's a kind of low-hanging fruit. Promoting co-combustion. Also, the previous speaker mentioned that co-combustion of zero fuels or low carbon fuels like ammonia, and gradually moving to zero emissions from the power sector either by integrating CCUS, carbon capture and utilization and storage, or switching to zero carbon fuels like the ammonia and hydrogen gas turbines, which I'm going to elaborate in the next slides. Next slide, please. Obviously, for us, next slide, please. For us, the building block of our technology is the gas turbine. MHI has also for this year achieved the first position in large utility gas turbines. The J-class gas turbine builds on the track of reference of more than 100 projects with 64% efficiency and hydrogen readiness, as I have elaborated already in the past. In order to convert a gas-fired combined cycle into carbon neutrality, we can integrate carbon capture to them. And I have two examples in the next slide to illustrate the integration of carbon capture in projects in the UK and in Canada. Next slide, please. The other alternative on integration or on achieving zero carbon footprint is the introduction of hydrogen. We have a roadmap which, in a nutshell, combines in all combustors the introduction of hydrogen into the technology of our gas turbine somewhere between 2025 and 2030, the latest. Next slide, please. All this is happening in Japan, both in Takasago and in Nagasaki research centers. And in the next slide, please, you can see the Nagasaki research facility where our zero carbon technologies are developed, and also the ammonia technology. And I have shown Takasago last year. This year, it is the turn for Nagasaki. In the next slide, you will see that Nagasaki delivers technology along the full value chain, and that combines carbon capture, liquefaction, transport in liquid carbon ships, and storage or utilization. Next slide, please. And the next slide is the biggest real zero power project, our ACES project in Utah, in the United States, where we are storing green hydrogen in a salt cavern and co-combust hydrogen with our gas turbine. Let me conclude by saying, in the next slide, please. Let me conclude by saying that we at Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, we are doing our homework. We are decarbonizing the power sector, and we are bringing it to industrial maturity, enabling technology. To achieve that, we think that flexibility, flexible power, and zero carbon thermal is important. And for that, we have still to produce high efficiency GTCCs being ready to be retrofitted with carbon capture and hydrogen. And we think that carbon capture is a key enabling technology. You mentioned the hard to abate sector in the two previous presentations. And last but not least, we expect to have regional priorities in the infrastructure in different regions of the world, which will enable the selection of one or another scenario to achieve carbon neutrality. With that, I would like to thank you once again for having me here, and I will look forward to the discussion in the panel afterwards. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kakaras. Next speaker is Ms. Suzuki Tomoko, Corporate Officer, Corporate Chief Researcher, Research and Development Group, Hitachi Limited. Ms. Suzuki, please.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for giving us this such opportunity. I'm Tomoko Suzuki, Corporate Officer and Corporate Chief Researcher for Hitachi. I would like to take this opportunity to share our effort toward carbon neutrality. Next, please. For over 100 years, Hitachi has been actively solving the challenges facing society, led by our founding mission to contribute to society through the development of superior original technology and products. This slide describes our vision of the energy system in 2050. Power generation is shifting from fossil fuel to renewables, and electrification is underway in sectors such as transportation, industry, and homes and buildings. Meanwhile, in areas where electrification is not feasible, complementary energy sources such as hydrogen are used. Thus, further energy systems will not only change from centralized to decentralized, but will also become more complex and complicated by integration with power and gas. Hitachi Group has HVDC, which demonstrate high efficiency in the grid integration of renewable energy, long-distance power transmission, and interconnection of power grids. We also have solutions such as electricity supply, storage system that can respond to sudden changes in electricity supply and demand, and stabilize the grid by enabling rapid adjustment in response to fluctuating renewable energy output. We are developing a number of other technologies, including high voltage water electricity system that can be connected directly to the high voltage power grid, and hydrogen transportation system, and multi-grid management technology that can realize all consumers' demand for different types of energy, while taking into account the constraint of both gas and electricity grid. My focus today will be on hydrogen transportation system. Next, please. Various countries, mainly in Europe, has planned to blend hydrogen in natural gas in order to reduce CO2 emission to produce heat. The UK plans to blend up to 20% hydrogen with natural gas until hydrogen infrastructure is established in around 2040. Next, please. However, during the transition phase, natural gas users, mixed gas users, and hydrogen users will coexist on the same pipeline. So the challenge is how to meet all these consumer needs while working to decarbonize gas. Next, please. To meet this challenge, we are developing a gas separation system that extracts the gases from mixed gas with composition that meet the demand of various consumers. We're also developing a monitoring system for mixed gas networks, since conventional natural gas grid only require pressure management, but the mixed gas grid requires both gas pressure and concentration management. Hitachi has provided grid monitoring and control system to electric power companies worldwide and to gas companies in Japan. Based on these experiences, we are developing technologies that enable visualization of the mixed gas grid. Next, please. This is a summary of our gas separation system. A feature of this system is it can provide gas that meets each consumer's needs by changing the system configuration and control algorithm. For hydrogen-rich gas applications such as chemical plants, it can provide 99% of hydrogen through a two-stage membrane system. And for natural gas applications such as power generation plants, it can provide 98% natural gas. And for mixed gas users such as homes and buildings, it can provide a constant concentration mixed gas, even when upstream gas concentration are fluctuating. Furthermore, if the required gas composition changing in the future, this can be achieved simply by changing the gas piping configuration change and control algorithm. This is made possible by NITO's membrane technologies, which combine with high selectivity and high permeability. More details are available at the exhibition booth, so please visit us. Next, please. Here's the summary for today. By realizing the innovation like this, we hope to contribute to a smooth transition to carbon neutrality. Thank you so much for your kind attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Suzuki. So next speaker is Mr. Yoshikawa Kohei, Senior Director, Decarbonization, Corporate Planning, All Nippon Airways Co. Limited. Mr. Yoshikawa, please.
Thank you very much, Michael-san, for your kind introduction. I am Kohei Yoshikawa with All Nippon Airways. I would like to thank Keidanren IEEJ and GISPRI for giving us the opportunity to showcase ANA's transition effort in aviation sector. Next slide, please. I would like to start with the role of aviation. Next slide, please. Yes. Let's imagine you're living in an island nation. Of course, aviation is very essential. And aviation provides two significant roles to the society. The first one is a connectivity, and that provides social benefits. ANA flies to 95 different airports across the world, and last year, 48 million passengers were on board our aircraft last year. That proves the size of the connectivity. And if you take a look at the right-hand side, it is the share of the international transportation in Japan. As you can easily imagine, 97% of people choose airplane when traveling abroad rather than ships. Secondly, the global trade boosts economic benefits. And air freight carries high-valued products such as fresh food, semiconductors, and vaccines. And if you take a look at the right-hand side, by cost of goods, as much as 41% of export and import rely on air cargo, while ships is responsible for more than 99% by volume. Next slide, please. Here, let me share with you the unique dual responsibility of the aviation sector. Of course, as you may know, ANA flies both on domestic flight and international flight. On domestic flight, we do decarbonization under Japan's NDC, which is to reduce 46% by 2030. And on the right-hand side, since the Article 2.2 of the Kyoto Protocol, international aviation is under the auspice of ICAO, which is the International Civil Aviation Authority. And under ICAO, we have CORSIA scheme, which is to reduce 15% less emissions from 2024 to 2035 compared to 2019 pre-COVID level, as well as its long-term aspirational goal of achieving net zero by 2050. And in order to make that happen, we have 4 pillars to reducing our carbon footprint of the aviation. The first one is a new technology and operational efficiency, introduction of SAF, carbon offsetting, and carbon removals. Next slide, please. Here, I am pleased to showcase our new technologies and independent effort to decarbonize. And of course, fleet renewal and operational efficiency are key components of the efforts at ANA. Firstly, I would like to address that we have made a significant investment in replacing fuel-efficient airplanes. And we're proud that the ANA has become the world's first operator of the Boeing 787 in 2011. And over the past 50 years, if you take a look at the right-hand side chart, the aviation sector has reduced significantly by renewing the aircraft. In our case, since 1964, our current aircraft consumes less than 50% of what it was in 1964 when we firstly introduced our first jet, Boeing 727. On top of this, secondly, we are always challenging to adapt new technologies such as Aeroshock. This is a microfilm that covers aircraft surface, and it can reduce air resistance. And according to this technology, each aircraft can reduce 800 CO2 ton per year. And lastly, our employee, pilots and mechanics are always keen to adapt new technology and adapt new operation techniques, such as one engine taxi after landing, as well as engine water wash. That contributes additional 1% CO2 reductions in 2023. That's our independent effort. Next slide, please. And here's the challenges. And going forward, introduction of SAF and carbon offsetting are keys to meet our climate goals. And according to latest IATA estimate, under CORSIA scheme, we estimate between 100 to 160 tons of CO2 offsetting are required from this year. And regarding SAF, ANA has taken a leadership role in 2020, which is to enable the first SAF supply chain here in our main hub in Haneda and Narita. But there are challenges, 3 challenges: high price compared to conventional jet fuel price, 3 times, 5 times higher than conventional one, lack of supply. Currently, SAF represents only 0.53% of the total jet fuel demand. And lastly, the fragmented policy framework may slow down the implementation of SAF. And of course, carbon offsetting is quite important. As you can imagine, we have urgent problem surrounding Article 6 implementation for CORSIA eligibility. And the challenges are how to secure the capacity for issuing LOAs for host countries, as well as the implementation of mitigation levers to reduce revocation risk so that airline can have confidence in buying carbon offset for CORSIA compliance. Next slide, please. My final words. So as I have mentioned, we have made a significant effort so far that can reduce carbon footprint by our own effort. And it's still underway and developing and enhancing operational efficiency. Secondly, SAF and CORSIA offsetting require huge amounts of support from outside the aviation sector, including COP outcomes around Article 6. And lastly, although the challenges are numerous, through our commitment to driving positive climate action, we will succeed and unite the world in wonder. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yoshikawa. So finally, we'd like to ask Ms. Shimura Yukimi, Managing Director, Sustainable Business Division, MUFG Bank Limited. Mr. Shimura, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Yukimi Shimura from MUFG Bank. First of all, I'd like to express my gratitude to Keidanren IEEJ as well as GISPRI for inviting me over to speak at this very esteemed event. Next slide, please. Next one. Thank you. Allow me to introduce about my bank. The MUFG Bank is actually the largest Japanese bank, which with the more than 2,000 bases in over 50 countries and regions. And we are very active in providing sustainable finance and transition finance. Next slide, please. However, today, we do not see much of companies wishing to actually issue or loan the sustainability or transition labels once. And this is actually the statistics coming out as of today. Now, if you take a look at the left-hand side, this is the global sustainable debt, including both the bonds and loans. The peak was actually in 2021, and then you see there's a sharp decrease. So it went to the hype in 2021 and went down, especially in the sustainable linked labels because of the greenwashing claims that everyone was a little bit scared. So companies decided not to use these labels. On the right-hand side, transition bonds and loans, as you see, it's been very small compared to the other sustainability products. Except for the 2024, you see there's a huge increase because of the generous sovereign bonds issued by the Japanese government, but this is very unusual. Next slide, please. So why this is happening? This is in fact, you see the label one that was shown in the previous graphs is really a tip in the iceberg. The actual transition financing is really happening, but it's not labeled ones. But regardless of whether this is labeled or not labeled, we all agree that we do need the transition finance. We need to scale it as maximum as we can do. Now, when from the banker's point of view, when we take a look at the companies and the financing companies, the most important part is that the company has a transition plan, and two, they will implement, whether it is in a flexible way or not. As long as they follow through the plan, that's very good. Now, in the case of Japan, many companies follow, because the Japanese government METI has the sectoral pathway, they follow these pathways and tries to establish the transition plans. In the case of other countries, some countries have a national pathway, some countries have taxonomies, but then we all know that transition is not happening as fast as we expected. Why? Next slide, please. Now, there are many things that you can say about this, but in a very, I'm sorry, I think I moved. In a very simple term, it's just a lack of clarity in long-term investment predictability that the company needs. And because of this, it's very difficult for companies to ensure the economic viability for whatever they invest in. Now, the situation is further complicated because one, we have inflation, all the costs went up. So it's actually a lot higher than what the companies initially planned for. And two, even for the mature technologies such as EVs, it's only penetrate among the rich people, wealthy people, affluents, however you call it, and not to the general public. And because of that, three, if you try to introduce the very innovative new technologies, simply it's just too high, and it's very difficult to pass over the cost especially to the end users. So this is a significant issue when we talk about economic viability. Next slide, please. Now, so having all this frustration coming out from all these companies, we decided that we put this situation in a cover. MUFG actually published transition white paper. This is the one that just come out in September. And there you see on the left-hand side bottom, optionality. So companies do need different technology options. It's not just a one single technology that can actually implement and reach to the net zero. We do actually need different options. Now, economic viability is on the right-hand top. That's where the banks can actually finance and we can scale. The issue is which technology can actually pass through. We need the end users and we need the demand. We need their understanding. We need the capacity building. Next slide, please. So this is my last slide. Simply for banks, we need economic viability. Bankable projects is economically viable. To expand, we just need to concentrate policies and incentive schemes for the matured and still innovative and going to the mature technology markets. We also need governments to cooperate with each other, especially for those that's connected in a supply chain or value chain, because if they have different policies, different incentive schemes, I think it's with all these good intentions everyone tries to do, it's useless to have those money put in. So with that, thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Ms. Shimura. This concludes the presentation session by the 5 speakers. Now, we'd like to move to the panel discussion. 4 speakers, Mr. Aiba Takao of Keidanren, and Mr. Kakaras of MHI, and Ms. Shimura of MUFG Bank, and Mr. Maeda of METI Japan will participate in this discussion. And I'd like to ask Mr. Hiroyuki Tezuka, Chair Working Group on Global Environmental Strategy, Committee on Environment Keidanren, to act as the moderators. Okay, Mr. Tezuka, please.
Okay, thank you very much for the kind introduction. We have had 4 business cases this afternoon. And let me first give an opportunity for Mr. Aiba, who has not yet speak about his transportation business. And could you share your view on this transition issue and also put the emphasis on the necessity of this transition phase?
Thank you very much. I'm very pleased to be here, and I'd like to thank to all organizers. And so I'm quite honored to be on this panel. And actually, so I have learned a lot from today's presentation. And so Mitsubishi Heavy Industry and Hitachi's presentation was very so impressive, and the technology is so advanced. So 64% energy efficiency is very amazing. And also the Hitachi's advanced hydrogen technology is quite essential. And also from Anna's leadership role and the effort to emission reduction was very significant. And also Mitsubishi UFJ's, Shimura-san's explanation about the finance situation is quite also informative. And I learned, the current labeled finance, it was just a tip of iceberg. And actually, from automotive industry also, we need to take step forward. But actually, as ANA's Yoshikawa-san mentions, our action has to be supported by the adequate policies, and we want to take step, but our action should be properly evaluated. Otherwise, it's very difficult to explain to our shareholders. For example, in the current GHG protocol, our emission reduction effort are not duly evaluated. For example, that if we purchase green steels, but we want to include the scope 3 category 1 emissions, but so far it's not so clear whether we can count such emission reduction at the scope 3 and category 1. So we want to have clear recognition of our actions. And such kind of international rule is quite important. And that's it. I have learned a lot from the previous explanation. And so I want to emphasize such kind of international rules importance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Aiba. And thank you also, you are touching upon the green steel issue, which is my industry. By the way, having heard those, the other speakers' presentations, Mr. Caracas, Ms. Shimura, and Mr. Maeda from METI, could you put a little bit further elaborate on the necessity or issues on relating to this transition strategies, transition activities? Do you have any short comment?
Let me start by answering that a green transition is now not a question of having the technology, but it is the question of deploying the technology at scale. And the last point I made in my presentation was exactly that to roll out transition green technologies and achieve carbon neutrality, we need to have infrastructure creation. In Europe, there are announcements on hydrogen backbones, on CO2 storages. In the States, we have CO2 storage infrastructure being deployed. In Australia, there is an additional infrastructure for the deployment of CO2 storage and also the export of green hydrogen. So we need to face regional challenges. That's number one. Scale matters. It's lesson number two. And to achieve that, you cannot rely at the end of the day on subsidies. So we need a clear business case scenario that goes beyond, let's say, the first movers advantage and the first movers assistance. Just to mention the example of the uncertainty in the United States after the first 12 years of the IRA projects. So for that, we need a stable mechanism, and I welcome the two initiatives of the Japanese government, which is building on the experience of other nations, both the ETS system that Japan is gradually introducing and the GX premium will help to establish long-term solutions. And last but not least is the engagement of the end user. You pointed out a very nice example on the green steel. You know, MHI has a subsidiary which is called Prime Metals, which is champion on the DRI, the direct reduction. In fact, just last month, we booked the first 2 million green steel contracts in Germany based on DRI. In order to facilitate such projects, and the example of green steel or green cement is well known, we have to move to a world of green premiums. That means at the end of the day, share some of the cost. And for that, we need consumer engagement and a premium system that rewards the initiatives to carbon neutrality.
Thank you very much. You have already covered most of the issues which I'd like to ask the second round, but
so I will not speak any longer.
But those are actually the issues to be covered. And since Japanese government introduced the concept of a transition, many people started realizing that there are many issues to be covered, even during the first few years, or materialize those good ideas into the real world, and deploying those technologies into the whole-scale society. So maybe this is a very good start point for our discussion today. So let me pass on the mic to Ms. Shimura about the same issue. How do you think about this, the issues to be solved on the transition period by the private sector companies, and what kind of the policy measures are necessary, what kind of social conditions are necessary to achieve that in an effective manner?
Okay, so that means we are going to jump onto the second question. Yes, thank you. Well, there are many things we can do, but let me point out three things. One, first of all, because I'm coming from the banking sectors, I need the bankable project. So we do need a project. However, we don't have the project. This is a major issue that we're having at this moment. Money is there. Capital is there. Everyone wants to invest in. But then if there's no bankable project, it's not possible. Deployment is an issue. Yes. But then when we talk about many projects, everyone talks about the big investment. Yes. But then if you take a look at your company's planning, it's a mixture of a big investment but small investments, and you have to be flexible. So flexibility, I think it's one of the presentations done by the ANA mentioned, is another key issues I think we need to bring in when we talk about transition and transition planning. And second is the greenwashing. Unfortunately, because now there are many terms of greenwashing, many companies are afraid of. They don't know what they're afraid of, but they're just worried about the word greenwashing. We need a little bit of a proper definitions, or if we don't want to define, it's okay. We can need a clarification what it means by greenwashing, especially in the world that we have to be flexible. And the world is not static. We plan, it may change. We have to plan again. So how we can cope with, especially when we, with this very dynamic world, what it really means by greenwashing. And my last point is that we do need to get demand running, and that means end users. I guess this is a key. End users, including myself. Someone has to pay for the costs. We know it's going to increase. We relied on too much on the supply side. We asked industries to do and pay. I think it's really time that the final consumers, end users, and others have to take a little bit of token of this, because otherwise it's not possible to reach net zero. And this is the time that we need to work together. It's not just the industry's problem, it is the consumer's problem as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much for touching upon that issue in the end. And actually, everyone is talking about carbon pricing, but carbon pricing is not on companies, carbon pricing on society. The carbon pricing must be shared among whole society. That is the basic, the beginning of this concept. So this issue has not yet been seriously discussed among policymakers, not only in Japan, but also global market. So probably that's one of the issues to be covered during the transition period to solve. But by the way, Mr. Aiba, Toyota has been focusing on various technology pathway approach and to overcome probably this transition period, many issues. Could you touch upon this, your concept on what do you think about the obstacles issues to be covered during this transition period and deploying new technologies in a real commercial market in a scale? What kind of the policy measures, social support necessary from your viewpoint? That's basically the second question of this panel discussion.
Thank you very much. And actually, so I very much echo to this, the Mr. Caracas' comment about that we need to face regional challenges. As Japanese automotive industry are allowed to do business across the world. We are selling car more than maybe 200 countries, and so we are facing virtually 8 billion people, so diverse. And so diverse life cycle or mobility demand and in the energy, very different energy situations. So then we think, for diverse consumers, we need to have diverse solutions. Then we are saying, multi-pathway approach, not only battery electric vehicle, but also the combination of carbon neutral fuel and energy efficient hybrid and plug-in hybrid vehicle is quite essential. And also now, battery electric vehicle, maybe fuel cell vehicle, and hydrogen, the engine vehicle and so on. So various technology are under development. So we don't know the future winner. So technological development will be maybe accelerated in the future, but so far, no silver bullet. So then we need to take technology open approach to support each technology developed, and also to install technologies. So we need to face regional reality, and the customer has budget, or the customer has diverse needs, and so in the sense in Europe, many customers are very wealthy, afford to purchase expensive battery electric vehicle. And quick charger network is developed, especially in Western Europe. Maybe the battery electric vehicle is one of preferred choice. But in Africa or Asia, no. Maybe still the high efficient internal combustion engine or hybrid is preferred one. And especially in Brazil, very efficient or sustainable bioethanol is cheaply available. So combination of sustainable bioethanol and hybrid is one of the very winning combination. But still we need to have consumers awareness, and also some maybe the public support, and also infrastructure development is necessary. Its situation is quite diverse, and coordination and region by region is essential. That may be general comment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very pragmatic approach to this the big problem. Let me ask Mr. Maeda, having heard those private sector industries framing on the necessities and the issues or difficulties to tackle on this climate change or the carbon neutrality through the pragmatic pathway or the transition. What kind of policies are you considering, or what kind of support government can provide, or even what kind of a role government need to take to stimulate the green market, green consumers, which most of the speakers has already touched upon. Could you comment on?
Thank you. Thank you very much for having this opportunity for me. And first of all, I would like to thank you to Keidanren and also the participants here. And as panelists here pointed out, that projects, as Shimura-san pointed out, that projects demand capacities and also capitals. Those are very important factors to introduce the green transformation. And also, Karaka-san pointed out the scaling is very important. And when it comes to deployment of GX technologies, it is important to, of course, introduce government support to attract GX investment. And also, it is quite important to create a market where the value of GHG products and technologies can be appropriately evaluated. When it comes to the GX policies, we regard it as industrial policy. It's not for just a green policy. We regard it as an industrial policy. And the government of Japan, as Hazuki-san introduced here, has been issuing the GX economic transition bonds, and its aim is to stimulate and induce the investment from private sector for GX. And we aim to mobilize 150 trillion yen or $900 billion in total by public and private sector. And when it comes to the source of funds of this transition bonds, we will introduce carbon pricing. And as Karaka-san pointed out, carbon pricing is very important to for indicator of the green premium. And also we are introducing GX ETS system as well. So when it comes to the creation of the market for GX, of course, carbon pricing and GX ETS would work very systematically, but as I explained, it will be gradually introduced. So it will take time to be introduced. So the thing that we are now trying to do is that having consultation with experts from industries and academics, how to visualize, how to evaluate the current efforts of GHG reductions in such as iron sector, steel sector, in manufacturing processes, such as chemistry as well, in our hard-to-abate sectors. And also we are now having discussions with relevant ministries, how the public procurement would stimulate the introductions of the GX products. That's all for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That's the very the good sign that the government is considering about whole range of the issue solving policies and the so forth. By the way, as Minister Asao mentioned, Japan is not only focusing on the domestic issues, but also the global solution under the IEEJ just recently. Probably this is very important because Japanese emission share is only 3%, but by using our technologies, our know-hows, our solutions, we can contribute far more than 3% of global emission. Also, as Ms. Shimura mentioned, that the scalability is potentially huge in highly populated Asia, and also the very fast-growing Asian economy when the Japanese GX technologies can be deployed in those areas. So could you, all the panelists, share your view on the potential and expectation or your suggestion to those the international contribution of Japan through IEEJ or any other international initiatives, starting from Mr. Aiba?
Thank you very much. I think IEEJ is one of very wonderful example what government of Japan is doing. The actually coalition building is essential in the international climate politics, and so working together with historically close Asian partners which share the similar maybe energy disadvantage is quite reasonable and it's a good example, I think. But in furthermore, if possible, we hope so much more so coalition building should be in G7 countries or G20 countries. And in that sense, maybe we really appreciate the government initiative with Brazilian government, so such as initiative for sustainable fuel and mobility. And that's also initiative, so from this May, and utilizing abundant so the Brazilian sustainable biofuel supply and so long-term experience, and the combination with Japanese very efficient so hybrid electric vehicle technologies. So green ethanol and hybrid is very win-win combination, and it's very good way to reduce emissions. And now maybe other country showing some kind of interest, and if we can expand and such kind of coalition, and especially with some key country in global south is quite important. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Caracas?
Thank you very much for this question, because international cooperation, especially with the global south, as the minister wisely pointed out, is very important to reach scale and to harvest the low-hanging fruits. So gas instead of coal is a low-hanging fruit, and we are glad that we contribute that. I have another two examples of that type of collaboration that is promoting the international role of Japan, collaboration with Singapore on zero ports, zero emission ports, a very important activity that builds around zero carbon ammonia. Collaboration with Australia, which is a two-way collaboration on the procurement of HBI and green steel, Japan's participation in the hydrogen jobs program of Australia, which is a very important program to promote new investments. And last but not least, we have the excellent example of moving zero carbon ammonia and to Japan and taking carbon, LCO, liquefied CO2 from Japan. That's a deal that can only be sustained by international collaboration. As you know, for instance, in Europe, we still are not allowed to export CO2 emissions outside of Europe in a liquid form. I think Japan is learning wisely from Europe's shortcoming, and they are taking such measures. Give me one moment, because I was very much intrigued from your comment on bankability, because this is where everybody is suffering from. And to have a bankable project, and that takes two for tango. And this is not the industry. The industry is doing the job, and we are bringing the technology. It takes an off-taker and the primary energy supplier. So we need cheap electricity, which should come as renewables come out. But for instance, in Europe, we are not seeing that due to the Russian crisis. And it takes an off-taker that signs to buy the product. And if the off-taker is not able to recover the additional costs, I was surprised with the clarity of ANA's presentation on the SAF costing. Even if you dilute by 10% the SAF injection, as we do in the mobility, this is already times 5. You have 50% increase on your fuel cost. So somebody has to bear this cost. And I think international collaboration, like the CBAM that Europe is once again pioneering, similar schemes will allow that to become really an international question of green premiums, which I think will be the solution at the end of the day. Sorry for taking extra time, but I found your comment very, very much to the point.
Okay, Ms. Shimura?
I'll be very quick. One, I think the AEDEC is very good. And especially they have the 10-year action plan. visualization is a problem. It comes out only once a year. We need more. We need to know what's happening more often. That's one. And then two, we need a bit of a bridge between the energy or industry policy and the financial policy, because we see, especially in some Asian countries, there's a mismatch between taxonomies and industrial energy policies. Companies look into government policies. If there's a mismatch, it's very difficult for us to follow. So those are the points. And bankability, yes, we need the off-taker. So I think everyone flying to Baku has to pay for SAF or has to pay for the carbon offset credits. And I think that will create the demand. Thank you.
That should be a good message to ANA. To Mr. Maeda, maybe you have heard those the private sector's claim on the international cooperation, how Japanese government want to support this kind of a request.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your kind words to our efforts for creating ASEC community. And the important thing at the summit last month was that we got the quite big support from the ASEC partner countries for triple breakthrough and one goal, various pathways. Actually, I'd like you here to remember those two phrases. And also we agreed on the action plan for the next decade. And this plan is quite important for us to establish rules for visualization of GHG and also transition finance. And also this rulemaking will induce the investment from the private sector. So most important thing is not our efforts, but the private sector's investment project, creating projects. So we would like to introduce a lot of rules for having more opportunity for companies to invest there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And time is running out, so we need to finish this panel discussion now. But being the moderator, I'd like to just say one thing, that right after this session, starting from 3:45, there's going to be a one business case, the side event, which is Japan Iron Steel Federation, talk about steel industry's green transformation. So if we have time, please remain seated. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, panelists. So please return to your seat. So finally, I would like to ask Mr. Sakuma Soichiro, Chairman of GISPRI, to closing remarks.
GISPRI. It is both an honor and privilege to deliver these closing remarks on behalf of Keidanren IEEJ and GISPRI. First and foremost, I'd like to express our sincere gratitude to all participants, excellent speakers, and organizers who have contributed to the success of today's side events. And a special thanks are due to Honorable Keiichiro Asao, Minister of Environment, Japan, who graced us with his presence today. Unquestionably, it is essential to explore multiple transition pathways to achieve carbon neutrality. Today, the discussion on trends in technologies, markets, finance, and governmental policy and measures, as well as the connections from there, will no doubt shape our future initiatives and strengthen our collaborative efforts moving forward in the realization of net zero. Let us carry the momentum from this gathering into future endeavors. We are excited at the opportunities that lie ahead and at the COP30 to be held next year. Once again, thank you all for your invaluable contributions and for being a part of this shared mission. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Sakuma. So now we are conclude our side event. Let us give a big hand to all participants. Thank you very much for everyone coming our event. Thank you very much. Thank you.